Oh, well, my name's Michelle Casanova and I live on a farm in Western Victoria, and we're a fine wool merino and cropping farm, but we have fairly large areas of wetland on our farm. And before I was living on a farm, I was a research scientist in wetland ecology and botany, and so I've managed to combine my two loves, which is living on a farm and doing research on wetlands. When we first arrived, I realised that the swamps were probably in a dire strait, because there's been an extensive change in land use occurring through the region, from grazing sheep to cropping, and as properties change hands, people take out the fences and they knock down the plantations, and they create a monoculture as much as they can. The GPS farming these days means that it's possible to just go in straight lines for as long as you can, and if you have to turn a corner, it's a waste of time and money. So people have been trying to make their paddocks very long straight lines, and anything that's in the way, like a swamp or a rocky outcrop, has been seen as an impediment. And from my point of view as an ecologist and a botanist, these are really important places in the landscape. They're areas of biodiversity and remnant vegetation, and they don't actually take up very much of the landscape, and yet 10% of the landscape maybe, and then they hold 90% or more of the biodiversity in my particular landscape, which is the Victorian volcanic plains. So I've been on a bit of a mission, I suppose, to try to understand why these things are valuable and how people might value them more, and to see if it's possible to get people to change their management of these situations. There's no point really in just having one swamp with frogs and things, or one rocky outcrop, or one little bit of grassland, because these things don't survive very long in isolation. It's like having an orangutan in the zoo, you know. It's just really, it's okay to look at, but it's not going to be fully functional and existing in its own right. So we need to provide more than one of these. We need to provide the mosaic of these that existed in the past. So if everybody just kept a little bit of their swamp, or one of their swamps, or some of their landscape in a more natural condition, it would provide for the long-term viability of these places. And one of the things they require is connectivity, and connectivity is provided by linkages of water or vegetation or birds or dragonflies or frogs and things that move between one good site and another good site. So they might have to cross a ploughed paddock, but if they're not too far apart, they'll make it. And in providing the connectivity and providing for integrity of the seed bank and the processes that occur in these wetlands, then you provide them with some resilience to any of the shocks and changes that might occur in the future, like climate change. Now, the Biolinks Alliance is about trying to get people in disparate groups, in separate groups, to work together to provide some of those connectivities on a landscape scale, which will provide for landscape level birds and animals and plants and populations, as well as people who use the landscape, people who like the landscape and live in it.